Hey guys, so this is just going to be another rant video. I've heard that people wanted more of these, but maybe not in this sense, because things have kind of been happening in the world that are really insane, I should say. So a recent shooting happened of a Renee Nicole Good, who is a soccer mom, I guess you could kind of say. I don't know like what her specific life details are, so I couldn't say that for certain, but if I ever had the honor to actually meet her in person before she ended up dying, I probably would have been able to give a better idea on her personality and whether or not that's true. But long story short, an ICE agent or ICE agents stopped her vehicle as she was turning to go down the street, and her partner ended up recording a bunch of ICE agents who came up, yanked on her door, spooking her and causing her to veer off and try to drive away from the ICE agents who were attacking her in her vehicle. To which then one of the ICE agents pulled out his gun while holding his cell phone and recorded himself murdering her. And then they used the flimsy as fuck excuse of, she was trying to run over him. She was trying to run over him, when everyone watching the footage can clearly see with their own two eyes and rub their two brain cells together.
Hello? Where is everybody? I'm the only brain cell left. Well, at least I have my books. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. There was time now.
And realized that he was perfectly fine. Yeah, and actually, I'll go over the video for anyone still wanting to try and even so much as dare to say that. Here we are. So, I'll take you through this frame by frame here. So, right here we have Renee Nicole Good in her vehicle. From what we know, according to what has been given to us via ICE, which I'm not sure how much I trust ICE, given how much they've desperately been covering this up. According to ICE, she was in the middle of the road for like 7 minutes, impeding traffic. I'm not sure I believe that. We have, security cam footage of her vehicle parked there before the ICE agent showed up, and they only said it was 7 minutes that she was parked there. But I'm starting to think, and I'm more willing to believe, that she was only there for a couple minutes, trying to either park her vehicle in such a way she would be able to observe ICE agents as they were coming down the street, or she was trying to reposition to remerge back onto the road. I don't know what specifically she was doing, but I can tell you what she wasn't doing, and it was impeding traffic, because right in the beginning here, as you can see, I think this is her partner, as people have put it. She's lesbian. That's the correct terminology for it. She's a chick who likes chicks, which, I mean, hey, swing for the team you want. I don't care.
I guess I've been wondering, man, are you gay?
No! Yeah! Whatever! Labels, bro! Bang bang! You want me to be gay?
Look, man, I want you to be happy.
I have an ex-girlfriend, actually, who's bisexual, so I mean, this wouldn't be any different than if this was a straight couple, honestly. So, I mean, it's nothing really to bring attention to, honestly, so I don't know why I'm talking about it as much as I am. So, her partner comes around the side here. She lets, as you can see, her hand is right here, and that's Renee's hand, and she's waving traffic through here. Yeah, she isn't really impeding anyone from coming through. In fact, I think she's trying to reposition herself so she can get through. But that's when the ICE agents come up. Uh-oh, here comes Mango Mussolini's Gestapo to escalate the situation further than it needed to be. Like, I feel like this is one of those situations it's fine to call, like, local law enforcement. Be like, there's a lady here impeding traffic. Maybe, we should get somebody to come out here and ask her what she's doing. That would be nice. So 2 agents get out of this pickup truck that just pulled up. Then there's Renee in her vehicle still. They yell for her to get the fuck out of the car, which is, I don't know, an unnecessary phrase, I guess you could say, for a situation like this. Like, whoa now, pal. So, clear escalation, pushing his weight around like, I'm the boss, do what I say. Then he yanks on her door, which only further spooked her, because this is all kind of happening moment by moment. That's when Agent Ross over here decides to move his way over in front of her right side of her vehicle, to which she then puts the car in drive and cuts her wheel all the way that way so she can merge back into the road and drive down and away from the current situation happening. To which Agent Ross murders her in cold blood with one shot, where, as you can see, right when he fires, his feet and the wheel are clearly out of the way. Actually, hold on. So as you can see via her wheel here, you can do a bit of a nicer job circling that. The way her wheel is turned is it is turned like that. See my arrow like that? Maybe I can make that a little easier to see. Her wheel is turned like that. Her wheel is turned to go that way so she can get onto the road. And his legs, and Agent Ross's legs, are right here. So, you see the problem here? He was already well out of his way of the vehicle as it was turning. And then, that's when he decided to make his first shot. He was out of the way. These are his legs right here. He was out of the way of the vehicle before he shot her, murdered her, in cold blood, as she was turning to get out of the way. Now that we're aware of what happened and we are all on the same page, hopefully, to any of you who still want to say Renee Nicole Good was a terrorist, well, I only have one thing for you to use to do the world a big fat fucking favor, and you might want some of this to go with it. Actually, no, we'll do you one better. We'll do you one better. We'll do you one better. You should use one of these, actually. Yeah. Make sure there's absolutely nothing left of your brain so that your stupid ideologies can't hurt anyone anymore. Anyway, now that I'm done making fun of retards who still think Renee Nicole Good is some kind of domestic terrorist despite not being in any way, shape, or form, we can get on to talking about just the rest of general society's retardation. Because I have, unless, I don't know if many of you know this, I have completely checked out of society, personally. I do not currently, I guess you could say, contribute to society in any way, shape, or form, I guess you could say. Many people might ask why. It's because society doesn't really contribute anything to me. And society doesn't really tend to contribute anything to each other. You see, all my life I've been raised to believe that respect has to be earned, not given. Yet, when specific people demand respect, for some reason they can bypass that whole golden rule. The whole golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated, you know, you earn respect to get respect and all that. Only, and simply only, because they had a badge on their vest, or they had 3 letters in front of their name. And that was it. That's the only thing that gave them the right to just supersede the golden rule. And I sit here not contributing to society because I've seen that bullshittery. I've seen your complete and utter up your own asseries, and I've decided I don't want to be a part of any of it. I'm sorry, I just don't. You don't contribute to anyone else other than yourselves. You leave everyone else in the dirt. You treat the homeless like shit. You treat the impoverished as if they're lesser than you. You all act so stuffed up, judgmental, and then you wonder why people hate you. You wonder why people don't like America. Why? Why doesn't people like us? Why are people so violent against us? Why are people so hateful? And I don't know, maybe that's just a reflection back of how you've treated people. Maybe what we're seeing here is an uprising of people who have been treated like shit their entire lives by people like you. And now we're seeing people like them take revenge. Revenge against assholes like you, who have been needing this revenge, who have been needing this justice for a long time. And you see, one of the areas in which this gets, I guess you could say, one of the areas in which this gets laid out for you is in the idea of work. Well, quote unquote work. So, living in society, you have to live on money, right? You need money to live, because you need money for food, you need money to have a roof over your head, you need money to do literally anything. So if you need money to do literally anything, you'd expect money to at least then be handled in a, I don't know, responsible manner. But no, apparently, in order to get these, and I'm gonna say it right now, meaningless pieces of paper, meaningless pieces of fabric, these meaningless little things that just have numbers and cool designs on them, that not only did we decide has more more value than food, something you actually need to survive, were all just meant to live on as if they actually mean anything. You know, those things. In order to get those things, you have to, quote unquote, work. You have to work to earn these meaningless pieces of paper. Now, a lot of the work you have to do is mundane. Man, it's mundane, it's meaningless, it doesn't really have to be done by anyone. It's just an excuse to be able to get these meaningless pieces of paper. But then you might be wondering, well, why not just get the meaningless pieces of paper then? Why am I doing meaningless labor that can be handled by either people themselves or robots or an AI when you could just give me these meaningless pieces of paper to live on, since I need them to live, so I can just exist. And then people say, you're lazy, you're not contributing to society. And we get right back around to the crux of the whole issue. See, because they want you to contribute, quote unquote, to society. And when anyone tells you that, what they're really saying is they want you to bend your ass over so the system can fuck you in the ass with a big red, white, and blue dick.
There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Because in reality, all you're doing is you're working to make the 1% richer. Your labor is single-handedly making the person who owns the business you work for richer. You're not getting much out of it, other than what little scraps they throw your way because you're a good little boy who does your job. You see, in reality, that should just be given to you. You don't have to be a good little boy to be given that money. And I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to that fact. They're starting to wake up to that fact, and they're realizing that, wait, we don't have to be slaves to your system just for meaningless pieces of paper. Why don't you just give it to us? Work, according to them, is not work. It's slavery. And that's something people need to get through their thick fucking skulls. They don't want you to work. They want you to be a slave to their system. They want you coming back every day so you don't have the technique, you don't have the free time to be able to make something of your life. They don't want you to make something of your life. They want you to be there every day, wasting away behind a whatever the fuck, doing whatever the fuck. They don't want you to be at home learning a skill that could actually gain you more money. They don't want you at home doing whatever the fuck you want. They don't want you doing that. If they actually cared about each other, if they actually practiced what they preached, and if they actually cared about one another, if society really contributed anything to you, you would not have to work for a living. If society was doing anything for you and gave you any reason to contribute back to it, they would be giving you food stamps, they'd be giving you money for a roof over your head, they would be taking care of you. But they're not. They're leaving you to the wolves, and then saying that that is somehow contributing to society, when they have done nothing to contribute to you. And so I guess I leave it with this. I don't like having to resort to tribalism. I mean, I think all humans have an innate kind of desire to resort to tribalism. So I should re-clarify and say, or I should rephrase that and say, I don't think tribalism would be the best course of action for this. But we're getting to a point where it might be necessary. Because this is fucking ridiculous and it needs to stop now. All of these big rich boomers, these cocksucking rich fucking dipshit boomers, need to wake the fuck up and stop forcing everyone to work just for these meaningless pieces of paper because they were indoctrinated since they were a baby into believing all of this bullshit when it's bullshit. Period. End of discussion. Not up for debate. Again, take a shotgun and kill yourself. So that's that. All being said, if you like this video, comment, leave a like, subscribe. Again, I'm doing this as a hobby just to get my opinions out there. If you agree with me, you agree with me. If you don't, well, you don't, but you're wrong, so